Here's Rodders!
Hey guys, welcome along to a new episode of Here's Rodders Reviews. We're getting into He-Man one more time here with the Dragon's Gift. And in this episode, Man-at-Arms is turned into a crystal statue by Skeletor. At the beginning of the episode, Skeletor actually manages to get into the royal palace in a disguise and unveils this little bust of the king's head. He's masquerading as like a nobleman from another region of Eternia, and our craft makers made this here in honour of the king. Would you like to see it more closely? And the king's like, yeah, for sure, bring it closer. And as he's going up to the king and the queen in the throne room, Man-at-Arms realises he sees the cape that this guy is wearing opens up slightly, and you can see this sword, and it's obviously the sword that Skeletor uses. Man-at-Arms last second jumps in, "Don't touch that, your majesty," and he lifts the bust and it kind of crumbles in his hand and he turns to Diamond. So Teela and Skeletor going head to head combat. Prince Adam's there, of course, seeing what just happened, so him and Cringer slip off to the side so he can transform into He-Man. And there's a nice little piece in this episode where Cringer, he's running and Adam is just about to pull the Sword of Power and call on the power of Grayskull, and he's like, "Stop, Cringer." And Cringer's like, "Yeah, I will stop once I'm far enough away." And the transformation begins as it always does, sword in the air by the power of Grayskull. I have the power, boom, turns into He-Man, and we cut to Cringer and he runs out of the room, round a corner, and he's like, "They'll never get me here." And of course He-Man puts the sword down for Battle Cat. The bolt of lightning shoots from the sword and ricochets off a wall, round the corner, hits Cringer, boom, Battle Cat. Nice little bit of humour in there. So they come to the aid of Teela in her battle with Skeletor, and fairly quickly Skeletor's like, "I'm not stupid enough to fight you here, He-Man," and he teleports away. That's him gone. So don't see him the rest of the episode, but now what they need to do is get Man-at-Arms, Duncan and good self, changed back from Diamond to himself. So they discover that through the help of the sorcerers, of course, they're in this sort of trouble. Who do they turn to? The most powerful sorceress on Eternia. So they go to Grayskull, and she is looking into this mirror of wisdom sort of a deal. Sorry, I might have got the mirror's name wrong, but it's been a few days since I watched this episode. I actually watched it twice. So she is like, "You know what? I can't change him back. That's power that I don't have, but there is it's like an ancient power, and the dragons would have this power." And she's talking about, and I need to get his name here, the oldest and wisest of the dragons, Granamir. He would know what to do, but the thing is, she made a pact with the dragons that she wouldn't give out their location, and she can't tell, it's He-Man and Teela, like two of the main heroes in the storyline, and they're always defending the planet and Grayskull, but honour is above everything else. That's the wonderful thing about these old shows. I taught kids like me honour and truth as well as everything else. It's just really good morals been taught in this whole series. And she's like, as much as I want to help you, I can't give you this information, but where the knowledge of man might be able to help you where I can't. And she teleports them to the royal library, and they realise the knowledge of man, books, let's start reading. So they start to connect the dots as quickly as they can through whatever information they get, and He-Man discovers that dragons are friends of trolls and whatnot, and like, you know, if we go to this region we should be fit to find them, like the ice mountains and all that good stuff. And they head off and they're flying there, and you know, cut through some of the stuff. There's a lot of action sequences here with them coming on towards where Granomir actually loves that. There's an energy force field that actually, you know, knocks them out of the sky and their transport. They crash land, they're on foot then. He-Man, Tila and Battle Cat, and there's trolls and all that sort of stuff trying to stop them, and they eventually get to Granomir and they get to have an audience with him. Now this dragon has basically turned his back on humanity because they were just, you know, they came looking for his help at one point and he helped them, and he didn't even get so much as a thank you or a gift or anything like that. And he's just like, you know, he just has a real low viewpoint on humanity and people in general. They're just, you know, they've got no sense of loyalty or goodness and all that in his eyes, you know. And he is like, you know, they didn't give me a gift was the big thing. Of course the story's called The Dragon's Gift. So if he's like, you know, if a gift will change your mind, what do you want, and we'll get it. And he tells him there's a tree in the Forgotten Forest that's older than him. Like, he's supposed to be the oldest living creature in Eternia, but there's one thing in Eternia older than him, and it's this tree. So he tells He-Man and Tila, go chop it down, bring it to me so I can watch it burn in my fire pit. And off they go. You know, he teleports them there. You know, if you want to come back, call my name, you'll be transported instantly back to here. So they're in the Forgotten Forest, and they come across these Treepercons, like little leprechauns that are the keepers of the Forgotten Forest. And you know, what do you want, sort of thing. You know, we're the protectors. And He-Man's like, we need to find Sky Tree as the name of this tree. And the guy's like, that's easy, just look up to the skies, lift your eyes. This little Treepercon, the Irish accent is amazing. It kind of slips between that and being a flat out pirate at one point. It's a dodgy accent at best to get right. And yes, it's wonderful just how close. Like, obviously I'm from Northern Ireland, and you know, the Irish accent isn't just as strong in this part of the country, but you know, down towards the bottom half of Ireland, you know, you'll get these accents they're trying to replicate in this episode. But it was just strange just how quickly that accent slipped from fairly good Irish to flat out sailing the seven seas pirate ship material. So they jump on the back of Battle Cat and slip the Treepercons, and they head off to cut this tree down. Now the whole time I'm sitting watching this here, I'm thinking to myself, okay, like He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, you know, the Sword of Power has always been there. It's always been used in defense. It's never actually been used to damage anybody really, or hurt anybody in any way. So I'm sitting there like a kid, I'm 42 years old, sitting watching this here. I was like, He-Man's not going to chop this tree down, can't happen. And of course they get to the tree, he pulls the Sword of Power, and the Treepercon catches up with him. He's like, you can't do this. And the tree has a face on it, and this mouth opens up in two eyes, and it's like, you know, what's going on here, sort of a deal. And He-Man explains the situation, and Tila's in bits because her father is now a diamond statue, and Granomir sent us here to cut you down as a gift to him to help Tila's father, Man-at-Arms. And Sky Tree is like, your father is Man-at-Arms? And she's like, yeah, do you know of him? And he's like, you know, at one point the forest was saved by a Man-at-Arms. Of course, Man-at-Arms is his title, you know, it's what he goes by as in the Royal Guard, Man-at-Arms. But this tree doesn't personally know Duncan, but he knows of the Man-at-Arms. And one of these guys at one point saved the forest, and I've got a debt to pay them, basically. So take up your sword and use me as a gift. And the little trooper con, he's on his knees and he's in tears, and the place isn't going to be the same without you. And Sky Tree's like, well, then it's going to be different. Everything that lives and grows in the forest originally came from me. My seeds fell, the forest grew, and as long as a plant or a tree grows, I'll always be here in some shape or form. So he's willing to sacrifice himself for Man-at-Arms. And he's like, this little trooper con doesn't know what to do with this. And then me, like a big child sitting watching this here at 42 years old, I'm just like, that cannot happen. It's just, I don't think He-Man's going to go through with this. And and at this stage too, Granamere has already threatened to send him to like a demon dimension if they don't do what he tells them. So at the last second, He-Man drops the sword. Doesn't physically drop the sword, but he has sword in hand. He's ready to chop Sky Tree down, and he lowers the sword, and he's like, we can't do this. He turns to Teela and he's like, if Duncan was here, I think he would agree with me as well. We can't do this. And she agrees, kind of reluctantly. And are you ready? He-Man says, and he calls the name Granamere, and they're transported back to his throne room. And Granamere's like, where's my gift at? And He-Man's like, we haven't got it. If there's something else, or if not, you're just going to have to send us to the hell dimension that you were talking about. And Granamere crouches down and looks at them, and he says, that's amazing how far ahead people have come in 1,000 years, or whatever the time frame was. You've shown the willingness to sacrifice yourselves and all that sort of stuff, and wisdom, all these good qualities that he really hoped to have seen before now in humanity, seeing this in He-Man and Teela. And he's like, that's the gift that he accepts at the end of the episode. And he magically brings up this little book of spells, and he's like, that the knowledge contained in this book will save your father. And Teela's like, how can we thank you? And he says, if you really want to thank me, just don't bother me ever again. And he lowers himself down into his pit to go back to sleep. And we cut from there directly to Man-at-Arms has been restored. Teela's there, Prince Adam now, along with Cringer, and Man-at-Arms is like, He-Man made the correct decision then. Sort of a deal. We have that nice little happy ending that we normally get at the end of a He-Man and the Masters of the Universe episode. Now, the moral of the story was a very simple one. The character breaks the fourth wall at the end of the episode, and it's Teela this time talks to the viewer. It's like, He-Man had a choice to make today, whether to cut down this tree or not. And most trees don't speak in real life, and if they do, we haven't worked out how to hear them yet. But it's the environmentalist lesson in this episode. Everything has the right to life, trees and everything, and if you look after a tree, you're looking after the planet, and it's all good stuff. I enjoyed this episode immensely, even though I forgot a couple of things in this episode, in this review. I've just been watching far too much at the minute, but this one here was a phenomenal little episode. I really, really did enjoy this one. So good. And we are now in the point of the box set where I'm not remembering any of these, and chances are, how many more discs have we got to do in this box set? I think there's 8 in this box set altogether. Could be wrong. This is DVD 6. So chances are, from the next week and a half, I'm going to crank out everything that's left and the original He-Man, the Masters of the Universe. And then we're going to be getting into there's a few guys been talking to me on Instagram. There's a guy, Chris, watching these videos. Chris, I appreciate you checking out these videos, showing a bit of support on them. That means the world to me, and content creation, and he's been steering me along towards the other shows, the other spin-offs, reimagined series of He-Man. So we're going to be getting into that in due course. So once we finish this off, I will be jumping into the next series and the series after that, and we'll get there and good time. So that's going to do it for this video. Hope you enjoyed it. Guys, thank you so much for checking out the video. Please consider subscribing to the channel, and if you do, don't forget to turn on that bell icon to be notified of future uploads. And please check out some of the other videos on this channel while you're here.